On the show, government support to the Uniform Civil Code Bill. The road ahead for an embattled Uddhav Thackeray. More cracks in Karnaprayag, adding woes to the residents and state administration. And why bike taxis are facing a roadblock in the national capital, Delhi. This and more. Top Angle starts right here, right now. The legal tussle over Uniform Civil Code continues to hang in the Supreme Court. The centre on Monday has lent its support to a batch of pleas that sought gender and religion-neutral uniform personal codes. This highlights the BJP government's intent in keeping the issue alive leading up to next year's Lok Sabha polls. However, it complicates the matter for the Supreme Court, which has for decades pushed various governments at the centre to make a decisive legislative move regarding the civil code. While that is yet to happen, the court has had to weigh in on several complicated legal issues that revolve around personal laws for various religious groups. The community that is most vocally against the Supreme Court wading into the issue are the Muslims. The aggrieved party says the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction on the matter. The centre stuck to its strategy, playing both sides of the game. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, who represents the government in the matter, said while it is for the Parliament to decide, the Supreme Court can examine what all it can do about the issue. Now, by adopting this strategy, the centre has ensured the matter stays alive while also not fully committing to a particular timeline of when it will enact a Uniform Civil Code. The UCC comes under Article 44, which says the state will endeavour to secure a Uniform Civil Code for citizens throughout the territory of India. In the year 1991, the Narasimha Rao government had stated that it wanted to stay clear of interfering in the personal laws of minority communities. In 2000, the Vajpayee government had told the parliament that unless minority communities themselves sought change, the government will not step in. Even UPA 1 and 2 adhered to the previous position. When the Modi government came in power in 2014, Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad told the parliament that the government would hold consultations with various communities before moving on UCC. But it's one thing for parliamentarians to tussle over the code and an entirely different task for the Supreme Court, which has to walk a constitutional tightrope on the issue. Moving on, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, in an interview to ANI, has spoken about foreign policies and the critics of it, including Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, who had been alleging Modi government of inaction against Chinese aggression along the border. He says India made the largest ever deployment of forces along the border to protect its interest against China.
The Congress party is saying that neither Mr. Modi nor you even mentioned China.
If we were being accommodative, who sent the Indian army to the LAC? Rahul Gandhi didn't send them. Narendra Modi sent them. We have today the largest peacetime deployment in our history.
Next up, bit by bit, Uddhav Thackeray is losing one thing after the other to Eknath Shinde. The Election Commission decision has come as the latest nail in Thackeray's Sena coffin. First, it was the poll symbol, then the party office in the Maharashtra Legislative Building, and now the Shiv Sena office in the Parliament House in New Delhi. But Thackeray is out to defend his right. And the biggest of all the assets for him and his men would be the Shiv Sena legacy. Challenging the poll panel report and the subsequent loss of the party symbol, Thackeray went to the Supreme Court. It will hear his case against EC's decision on Wednesday now. But the Election Commission last Friday had awarded Eknath Shinde-led faction of the Shiv Sena both the official name and the bow and arrow symbol. This, many say, comes as a booster shot for the BJP a year before the state goes to polls. Political pundits believe that this jolt will result in many Shiv Sainiks, corporators and office bearers that were still loyal to the Thackeray family defecting to the Shinde camp. And this will eventually push the centre-led development and Hindutva to take centre stage in Maharashtra's elections and politics. Nonetheless, regional identity narrative is essential for Shinde and Thackeray. State and BMC polls are essential for each of them. Uddhav must be concentrating right now on defining the political identity of his party. He suffered face loss at the hands of the Shinde camp because of what they perceived as a weakening of Bala Sahib's Hindutva stand. Thackeray was often criticized for being inaccessible as well. To connect with the masses, he needs to take the battle from the courts to the streets. Along with keeping his group of 16 MLAs, the 6 MPs and other supporters together, Thackeray needs to come up with a new party symbol and a name. And for all of this, he would need his men and his family by his side. Take a look at this. Joshimath, Badrinath Highway, and now Karnaprayag. Land is already sinking beneath the feet for many across Uttarakhand, with big white cracks appearing at many places, including roads and buildings. Cracks and fissures surfaces in 38 houses in Karnaprayag, another town of Chamoli district. Karnaprayag is located over 82 kilometers away from the subsidence hit Joshimath. 28 families have been shifted to safer abode after their houses have been identified as dangerous to live in. Now, Karnaprayag land subsidence follows event of sizable cracks appearing in the Badrinath Highway ahead of the Char Dham Yatra. The Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority has formed an 8-member panel to probe subsidence problems in Landaur and Karnaprayag. The team is expected to visit Karnaprayag this week, while it has already visited Landaur on the February 16th. Now, land subsidence is a threat to Uttarakhand and its fragile ecology. Experts opine dam construction, deforestation, forest fires, and road projects have led to this man-made crisis. And while we could hardly bid adieu to winters, for Delhiites, the summers are already knocking at the doors. And on the other hand, the hills too seem to be heating up. All this, nothing but a fallout of climate change. At 33.6 degrees Celsius, the national capital on Monday recorded the third highest temperature in the month of February in the last 55 years. Going by the weather department, the highest temperature in Delhi for the month of February was recorded at 34.1 degrees Celsius in the year 2006, while the second highest temperature was recorded at 33.9 degrees Celsius in the year 1993. Sunday saw the national capital warming up at a maximum temperature of 31.5 degrees Celsius, 7 notches above the season's average. The weather department data puts this as the highest for the month of February in the last 2 years. Now, the Met Department report states that there are chances that the country could entirely skip this year's spring season and directly enter the summer season altogether. More than a week to go for February to end. Heat wave alert has been issued for the season. The Met Department predicted that in the coming days, some parts of Kutch and the Konkan regions could record maximum temperatures between 37 to 39 degrees Celsius. And for the hills, there is not much of a relief either. Shimla breached its highest maximum and minimum temperature ever recorded in the month of February. Even Dharamshala too is hotter this time around than usual. Now, the impact of climate change is palpable, and the world needs to unite in tackling this challenge, which is spiking with each passing day. And take a look at this, because this was waiting to happen. Keeping Delhi's pollution levels in mind and the road traffic menace, it was widely believed that changes are in the offing. Now, the Delhi Transport Department has banned the bike taxi services of Uber, Ola, and Rapido with immediate effect. The reason? They violate transport rules. Now, this news may come as a shock to many individuals who depend on two-wheeler transport to get to their destination without spending too much money, and they are sure to be disappointed. Well, now the Delhi Transport Department says two-wheelers having non-transport, that is private registration numbers, are being used to carry passengers on hire, which is a purely commercial operation. This, as per rules, amounts to violation of the Motor Vehicle Act of 1988. Now, the Transport Department has issued a warning that Ola, Uber, and Rapido will be fined Rs 5,000 for the first offence. Subsequent offences will result in a fine of Rs 10,000 and imprisonment. The driving license of the driver will also get suspended for a minimum period of 3 years. The notice also highlights that the ride-hailing digital platforms providing these bike taxi rides to users will be charged with a fine of up to 1 lakh rupees under the Motor Vehicle Act of 1988 if they facilitate the operation. Just a few weeks ago, the Supreme Court of India prohibited Rapido services from operating in Maharashtra due to the company operating without a legal license. Recently, the announcement of a ban on bike taxi services has now been declared in the metropolis. And on that note, it's the end of this edition of Top Angle. Do check out incisive news analysis and cutting-edge documentaries streaming only on News 9+. Thanks for watching.